Hey, hello everyone. Good morning. Um, we are going to start the webinar in approximately 10 more minutes since the technical team from Phoenix 7 has been dealing with some network issue. I guess you can wait. Meanwhile we're waiting, I'm going to invite and say hello to our speaker. Miranda, are you there? Hello.
Hello, I am here. Can you hear me
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Hello,
you
it's
sound,
been a while. How are
yeah,
you?
yeah. It's been a while. Yeah. So how was the Netflix trip, you know?
It
You,
was great. So we actually went to Oracle, Google, and Netflix.
you went
And
to Oracle?
yes,
Wow.
but we didn't
Okay.
like tour the entire campus.
Hmm.
We were like in the meeting room. Yeah, just they're having some presentation and
Okay.
they're having discussion. I really like the Netflix one though. It is really
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Wait, so
Hmm.
were you there alongside like a tour group, or like were you just there by yourself and like with a couple of friends?
No, so this that was the trip organized by my graduate program.
Mm-hmm.
So there were like 50 or 60 of us
Okay.
go on. Yeah,
All right.
so it's a big group. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've
So
been to the Google office, right?
I did. I went to the Google office, but I didn't actually get inside of the like the office perimeter. Actually,
Uh-huh.
at some point of time, I have like a friend who worked at Google, but he actually said that I can join and see what it looks like inside of the Google
Mhm.
headquarters.
Yeah.
But I was having like another trip at that time, so I didn't go there.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
pretty
wait.
unfortunate actually. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah,
I,
I
I
feel
did
like you
go to
mentioned,
Google though, but just like the outside, not the inside of the office.
yeah, you took a picture with the office, right?
Yeah, I did. I did. I did. It was great.
Nice. Yeah, it was.
Wait, so
Um,
how long is the trip? Like, is it like a few days or like in one day you got it all?
no, it was 2 days.
Two
So the
days.
first
Okay.
for the first day we went to Oracle in the morning, Google in the
Okay.
afternoon, and then the second day was Netflix.
Okay.
It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would be nice to if we can work there someday
Oh,
in the future.
I think you can. You just send the application and you'll be like, oh, Miranda, yes, you'll accept it already.
No way. It's hard to get in there. Like
Yeah.
they're all really talented and smart.
Okay. So before we start, you want to ask about, the students, they have this kind of like cute icon picture, and you have no
Yeah,
idea
I was
how
like,
to convert them.
yeah, when I
Manually,
first got
I
in, I
have
was
no
like,
idea. So,
why are all the students having cute illustration? Like, how do
okay.
you
All
get
right, right.
those?
Maybe I'll ask you in Indonesian so that they they might understand better. Jadi
Oh,
kan
okay.
teman-teman ini ada yang pakai kalau open Zoom itu ada pakai ini ya kayak gambar-gambar lucu gitu kan. Nah ini Kak Miranda pengen tahu caranya kayak gimana. Jujur aku juga nggak tahu sih. Ada yang mau komen atau ada yang mau on mic itu caranya convert bisa jadi kayak ada kepala kucing, kepala kepala kelinci gitu gimana sih caranya?
Lewat avatar, Kak. Jadi
Pakai avatar.
kalau
Ah,
kita tekan
oke.
logo apa? Logo kamera itu kan ada show avatar.
Oke.
Nah, itu
Oh, I
bisa
see.
bisa pilih.
Okay. Wait. Let me try. So Miranda, you just need to so there's a camera option on your Zoom, right? So you just click
Yeah.
that, and then instead of choosing the background, you choose an avatar. Um,
Oh,
yeah, but I
can I
can't
try
do
it
it though
now?
because you should try. Why not? Why not? You use it.
Wait, okay, I'm seeing it now. This is cool. I've never,
Mm.
like, I did not know there's
Yeah,
this
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the
This is
students are smart.
interesting.
I have no idea how to use this.
Yeah, we're done. We're old.
Yeah. No, we're not. We're Gen Z. They're also Gen Z.
Oh, I'm a few years
Okay.
older though.
That's okay. So I'm gonna share my screen a little bit. By the way, do you know how like so I want to for both of our camera. So do you know how like in when you access a Zoom and when one person is talking, only one, camera is like visible. So I want us to like both of us is actually visible in the Zoom so that it won't get confusing when like if one of us is talking, so like it's not gonna be like switching too frequently. Do you know how to
Mhm.
do that? I think it's like
I
maybe
do not know,
oh
actually.
all right.
Well, maybe the students would know. They're
Let me
smarter
just
than we
pin.
are.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, I'll pin you. Okay, I think I got it. I think I got it.
Cool.
I'm gonna share my screen now. Oh ya, teman-teman, ini memang kita webinarnya pakai bahasa Inggris ya, full, because karena Kak Miranda ini juga dia sebenarnya dari Taiwan, tapi dia udah pindah ke Amerika, ke United States, jadi kita pakainya full bahasa Inggris. Oke, I just told the students that we are going to use full English, unless you want to
Yes.
speak Indonesian, if you want to, can you?
I don't think I can.
All right. Okay, so I think we can start. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, so good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend, and I believe we are all gonna welcome our special guest this morning. And this for you, Miranda, it's Saturday night there, so happy Saturday night.
Yes.
And we're gonna talk about navigating power and influence from Asia to the Western world. So welcome, Miranda. You're a very, very extraordinary student from California Polytechnic State University, which also happens to be my friend back in University of California, Davis. So welcome back here. Okay, so we're just gonna start with the presentation. Okay, so yeah, tell me about your background, Miranda. So, how did you went to United States? Did you actually plan all along from the like maybe your junior year, maybe since your childhood, do you actually planning to go to the States back then?
Yeah, thanks so much for the intro. I don't know if I deserve the special guest title, but excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, just tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Miranda. I am from Taiwan. I came to the US in 2022. I first came here as an exchange student at UC Davis. That was where we met and kind of fell in love with the country and decided that I want to stay a bit longer. So I then worked professionally for about a year, and now I am back at school doing my master's program in business analytics at California Polytechnic State University, and I'll be graduating this June. So to answer your question, I did not plan for the exchange year like too far ahead because I think COVID hit at about at the end of my freshman year or junior year. I don't really remember, but somewhere along the line, I just thought that it might be harder, to go out at this time, but it has been something I like really wanted to do since I was a kid. And so one of my friends at in undergrad, she went out a quarter before I did, and I was like talking about her experience with her, and she's like, yeah, you should definitely come, like don't let COVID stop you. So yeah, so I kind of applied last minute and was really fortunate to get accepted. So yeah, that was kind of the story. I did not plan um like ahead, but I don't recommend that though. Like if you want to come, if you want to study abroad, start planning what you want to do, what schools you want to go to. Yeah.
So do you think that did you have any regret, or did you actually very, very glad that you actually took that opportunity to extend your stay in the United States? Because, maybe you see some excellent opportunity that you haven't seen before. Maybe there are other reasons that you want to stay in the United States rather than going back to Taiwan.
Yeah, definitely. Like I do not regret staying here at all.
I
I'm
see.
still really liking it, but maybe you can ask me, 10 years from now, we'll see. But right now I don't regret at all. I
Mhm.
kind of just feel so after I finished my exchange year at Davis, I kind of just feel like I see a lot of opportunities and there's no immediate like reason for me to go back to Taiwan anyway. So I just want to use this opportunity to stay here and see, because I also met a lot of smart and talented people in the US, and I think this is a really good environment to grow, and I can learn a lot here. So that was kind of the reason. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about you said that you don't have much reason to go back to Taiwan, right? So, but here in Indonesia, and I believe also in a lot of Asian country, we have a lot of maybe sentimental connection to our homeland. Let's say, maybe to our family, to our friends. Maybe why don't you come back and maybe help us with a little bit of maybe you know our things that we have to deal. Maybe your parents is gonna say that, or like, oh, maybe you have to get back and maybe restructure or help your community grow, right? Instead of going out there and make a name for yourself, right? So, has there been those kind of instances that before you actually decided that you're going to stay, those things pop in your mind?
Definitely. Yeah, it is hard when I was making the decision. I remembered, because I know like my friends and family are back in Taiwan. They want me to go back, but I just feel like I can always go back, because that's my home. Whenever I want to go back, I want to visit them, I can. But it's not that easy for me to just come to the US if I go back to Taiwan. So I kind of just want to um, really just use this opportunity the most and not, because I just feel like we are still young. We have this time and opportunity to explore, and it's really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
but definitely there are some tough decisions to make when I like wanted to stay at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and look at you now. You sound so American.
You like
Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit more about your experience in UC Davis when you were, obviously when we first met, and also your experiences in the California Polytechnic State. So I believe you mentioned to me once that your current university, the Cal Poly, California Polytechnic, is not as diverse as UC Davis, right? So you said that maybe there's not a lot of international students among your batch in your program on your degree. So do you think that's the kind of a dynamic change affects maybe your viewpoints, maybe your understanding, as well as your kind of the way you maneuver yourself in the States?
So definitely some adjustment there
Mm-hmm.
because when we like you were in Davis also, like there are a lot of international students in Davis, so it's
Yeah.
easier to find a Asian community or just people that you get along with, like international students who don't have family in the US. We can, get together, have fun sometimes. It's a little bit harder here because there are less international students and even less like Taiwanese, I would say. It's an adjustment, but I'm liking it. You just have more opportunity to, improve your English, talk to American. But there are also times that I wish there are more international students, more people that I can reach out to. But overall, I think it's a good opportunity to connect with Americans, really learn about their culture because you're really like immersed in their culture here, basically. Yeah. What was your experience like at Davis?
Yeah, I mean, what I want to highlight is that, well, because there are so many international students, right? So we kind of have this like our own community. Like we have this kind of like sense of identity that we're international students that we're kind of like being introduced to the United States, so like we can work ourselves together. So there's a sense of belonging in there. When I was in UC Davis, that I might not actually experience in maybe in California Polytechnic State or maybe other universities. So yeah, that was nice. So okay, let's talk about your internship. So I'm very, very excited about this. So you did some internship in Sano and NG North America Incorporated, and I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Craig I Mizuno CPA? Is that the correct
Yeah.
pronunciation? All right.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the CPA firm, that was where I worked for about a year after I finished my program at Davis. I worked there as a staff accountant. So I did my undergrad in finance. So this is kind of my area. Um, so that happened. Yeah. And for Zeno and NG was a collaborative industry project through my graduate program. So essentially, my graduate program, they cooperate with some companies and they provide some real world like problems and we try to solve them like for the company as a internship kind of position just to get ourselves familiar with the real world situation and problems and hopefully that will help us in the future after graduation. Yeah.
Did you enjoy your experience there? Did you feel any stress, any, like, oh my God, I wish I hadn't been, I haven't applied here, or like, I wish I get internship maybe in a more, I guess, in a more space that you actually can feel more like yourself, or yeah, of course, I believe this is in the United States. Did you actually ever feel kind of like missing your home or your country's environment? Because obviously in Taiwan and United States it's different, right? So have you ever feel those kind of like maybe homesick, but in this case it relates to like the working environment?
Definitely feel homesick. However, in terms of working like experience, because I've never worked in Taiwan, so I'm not
Oh,
sure
okay.
what like working in Taiwan is like. But from what I heard, it's Asian culture. You kind of work overtime, maybe quite a lot,
Oh, that's
and it's
true. That's true.
probably
Yeah.
like pretty, yeah, it's actually probably pretty stressful. So in terms of that, work-life balance is a big thing in the US. So I am grateful that I have the opportunity to experience this like work setting environment. Yeah, what is it like working in Indonesia? Was it, you know, you work overtime a lot or things like that?
Not exactly, but I believe there's a lot of how do you say it? Like, I guess a lot of dynamic issue inside of the mechanism of the company. Let's say, a lot of, I think a lot of workers or employees experiences stress not because of like overwork or like over exhaustion, but I think it's because lack of efficiency, lack of good communication, which is a pretty unfortunate for me because again, I think it's a very simple fix that can be mitigated. But I think we'll talk about it later. So before I'm going to the next slide, I just want to point out that your photo here is in London, not in United States.
Yes, I mean, I was trying to find a photo to put there. I'm like, that's like a pretty photo of me. I don't take that many photos in the US. Like I go to school. I don't take photos. So,
Okay,
well, I'm sorry.
that's okay. That's right. Okay, so yeah, a simple question to start with all of us, Miranda, and of course, um, all of the audiences, my fellow students. So, have you ever felt unheard or invisible, even when you had something important to say? So, and I think this is much more prevalent in Gen Z, or of course, people who are, only been introduced in the working area, introduced in the like in the career world. So, have you ever felt that way, Miranda?
Oh yeah. So, um, I grew up as the youngest sibling in my family, and I am also very introverted. I'm sure you think I'm like weird when we first met. Like I don't talk at all. So because of that, I kind of got used to blending myself into the background and listening to other people talk whenever I'm in a group setting. That works really well in Taiwan, actually. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But since coming to the US, this is a place where you really need to speak up your thoughts, express yourself to let other people understand you. I often feel this way. Yeah. Have you?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, as over time, it kind of like disappear and like I kind of like overcome that. But I believe this applies to 114 people that have joined this Zoom and maybe hundreds more that have joined the YouTube channel because yeah, we have this feeling like we want to be we want people to hear and to feel what we want, but also we are afraid that they might judge us, right? Because for example, if I say something, I'm afraid that people will judge me for it, will question me for it, will, kind of like diminish me. So like then we escape to the notion that we might be better at just shut up, we might be better just be silent, even though that's not exactly true. Um, and also that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. So, why talk about power? So the first thing that I want to highlight is that degrees, or in this case, skills, or kind of like internship that you take. For example, in this Phoenix, right? So these students, you guys are internship in Phoenix 7, right? So they don't actually guarantee influence or, kind of like ways to advance your career. And in the case of Miranda and I, many international students have, a lot of incredible talents, but not leverage. They don't know how to speak or communicate their skills. Have you ever experienced that, Miranda, or like maybe you have seen cases like that, maybe with your friends, your peers?
Um, Yeah, I think this is pretty relatable. I think a lot of Asian students are very smart, very talented, but we don't give ourselves enough credit and people don't recognize it because we don't vocalize it, if that makes sense, especially from my experience studying in the US. People like Americans, they would vocalize their ability, but we don't.
Yeah. So what you notice is that maybe the Western students, the Western peers, they talk so easily about like how they will get things done, the way they will execute absolutely well. Then maybe their skills are not maybe it's not the case all the time, but maybe the kind of like the Asian students or other international students might be better at handling some things and maybe at doing some skills, but they're not really highlighted by their peers or like by their supervisor or by their bosses, because they don't speak it enough. So another thing about power is that it's not about controlling other people. It's about agency. So it's about knowing which puzzle to put and knowing what things to do. So it's about like social engineering, basically, right? So you network a lot. You say things at the right time. You are present at the right time. So do you agree with that, Miranda?
I do. I agree with it.
Yeah.
I also like have a follow-up question for you
Oh yeah, of
when we
course.
were talking, yeah, when we were talking about like if we ever feel, invisible, like last
Mhm.
question. Do you think, since you also have experience studying in the US, do you think that it is harder when you're using English? Like if that situation happens more where you feel like you're unheard when you're speaking English, or do you think it's kind of, all the same when you're in your home country and when you're in the US?
It sounds weird, but I actually think I'm conveying my words and meaning better when I'm using English. So I actually experience when I'm feeling unheard, mostly in Indonesia actually, or maybe in Japan. I went to Japan for internship. I did not know how to convey my words in the right way for the Japanese people, for my Japanese professors and supervisors. But yeah, that's interesting. So I'm gonna reverse your question. So what about in Indonesia, right? So I cannot. I know it sounds super weird, but yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, when I argue with someone, sometimes I automatically switch to English. So maybe that only pisses them off because, like, oh, maybe you're trying to, maybe they're thinking that, oh, you're trying to be smart. No, I'm not. I'm just, what's happening in my head
You're
is in
used to
English.
using English. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I think most of the time just be calm and restructure your words nicely inside your head before you say what you want and you say what what the problem is and how are you gonna fix it because the proper words, I think it's very, very important to use that because if you choose the words that will push the wrong buttons from your peers or I don't know, someone else, it would not be good for you. So only speak when it is beneficial to you. I think
Wow,
that's what my point is.
that is insightful. I'm learning from you now.
Hey, you're the speaker here. Okay, yeah. Studying the rules of power, of course, is important to advance our career. So, yeah, what is power? So, we as Asian is a very, very repulsive to this concept, right? So, not only in Indonesia, but I believe in Taiwan, I guess in Philippines, in China, let's say, other country, because I believe when we say power, you automatically think people who abuse their power. Maybe let's say, a corrupt government, let's say, or an offensive boss, or let's say, your high school bully. When we talk about power, we always have this kind of like a bias toward, oh, power is bad. Power is we should not let ourselves have power, right? It's a taboo material. But it is so wrong. It is incredibly wrong because you need power in to get things done, to be able to do anything. So, you know, I guess the definition of power is that your ability to get what you want or to get things done despite any potential setbacks or any potential, people who are going to say otherwise. What about you, Miranda? Do you think that your fellow Taiwanese or maybe you yourself in back in Taiwan also think of that? We should not use our power. We should not have power.
I feel like so we often associate power with like negative stuff. Just we interpreted it in a negative way. I think there is a fine line between being confident and being cocky. However, that is not even a concern in Asia because whenever we share a little bit more about our accomplishments, it can be perceived as we are bragging.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we're taught to be humble. We don't want to show off too much. And I don't know if that is the best like environment. And also going back to what we were like kind of saying, I think this also contributes to us being more like reserved and quiet. Yeah, not being
Being
able
humble.
to
Yeah, right.
just
Being
yeah,
humble.
not being able to confidently like show ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, so but of course, again, if you're able to get things done, it means you have power. So Miranda, you and I here have power, right? We have,
We
we have
do.
the ability to, share our stories. This is power, this is good power because we share our insight. We help maybe our students to understand these kind of like concept better. You know, Power is not always like for bad stuff, for hurting people. When you help people, you actually also need power. So, you know, um, let's say you help, you kind of like a donate, you donate to charity. You have power. You have power to do that. I think power is not negative or positive. It's just its own thing. It's neutral. It just depends on how you use it. And influence is the way you can make other do what you want to do. I think that's the appropriate definition. Um, if you influence someone to, let's say, buy some stocks in Tesla or buy some stocks in, some other stocks or buy your own book, you kind of like make other people to do what you want, but not because you force them to, because you can convince them that it's actually what they want, right? And I think this also important influence. How much do you think influence matter, Miranda, in our career?
In our career.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like what career?
Yeah, well, professional career, let's say in your, in your work, if you can influence your coworker that, you have the best ability to be the leader, then you are appointed the leader. And I think that's, important message that you can influence, kind of like convince people that you are really good at what you're doing. So, so that people won't look down on you and people won't discredit your ability to do things that you are skilled at. All right.
For sure. I am also thinking about just how you kind of show your work to your boss. That can also be an influence.
Mhm.
Like how are you able to, or like how are you able to convince your stakeholders? How are you able to convince your clients even? How do you influence them with your work? How do you sell your work? That is an influence too. Yeah.
Very, very important to do. Yeah, show your work to your boss. Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
And of course, authority is when I think people have a position of power that has been given to them, right? So again, maybe your dean, your chancellor, your professor, they have authority, right? They have this kind of power that is given to them that they are going to use. So I think that's authority. So yeah, before we start, so all of these rules that we are going to talk about is from Jeffrey Pfeffer. He's a professor in Stanford University. I met him and also I interviewed him in Stanford University when I was doing my internship in Stanford. I believe you also want to ask me a question about that, Miranda, but maybe later on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I kind of like work with him with Professor Pfeffer. Um, this book is phenomenal. I love this book. It has been really helpful at getting at mitigating my Asian outdated values. Not every Asian value is bad, obviously, but some of them are outdated, and kind of like introducing me to the rules of power and how can I use it to advance my career. And the first rule is very, very important. Get out of your own way. So most of the time, you're not really using your power or using your influence. It's because of yourself. You kind of like holding yourself back. Maybe, let's not do it. I don't want to be highlighted, right? So self-doubt is the first enemy. What do you think about that, Miranda? Do you occasionally holding yourself back and like maybe speaking in a powerful way?
Yeah, for sure. I think we all relate to this more or
Yeah.
less. Just coming from an Asian background, I think we we were not like being encouraged most of the time growing up. We are more used to judgment or criticism. I think I mean, that's a way to help you grow, but um that also makes us, having low self-esteem. Do you think so?
Yeah. So yeah, I think most of the time, I think I'm gonna lean to the last the last sentence here. If you notice, people actually beg you to own some form of power in everyday things. So it may not be, a very, very serious things. Let's say someone is having a party or your family is going to have a trip, right? We want some organizer, we want some team organizer, some team leader, you know. So people actually offering you some form of power left and right? So I'm gonna switch to Indonesian a little bit. Jadi kalau misalnya di kerja kelompok gitu ya, teman-teman kan mesti nggak ada yang mau jadi ketua kelompok gitu kan, teman-teman. Ya kan nggak ada yang mau. Jadi teman-teman pasti kan kamu dong yang jadi ketua kelompok gitu kan. Apa kalau jadi kalau di kelas dulu ya, misalnya di kelas di kuliah atau di SMA juga bisa, ada yang mau jadi ketua kelas nggak gitu kan? Pasti nggak ada yang mau kan? Kalau kamu step up gitu ya, pasti orang-orang akan suka gitu kan. If you step up to claim that position, okay, I'll do it. I'll be the team leader. I'll be the one in charge. People are going to actually appreciate you for it, right? So let's say you have I don't know, some kind of like a group project, and people don't really want to take like a lot of responsibility. If you step up to that and okay, I'll take charge, people will love you for it, right, Miranda? Do you think so?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I also agree with the second point, like
Okay.
stop apologizing. I agree that we sometimes apologize too much. But in this works in Asia because everyone do so, and sometimes it is not really apologizing that we're doing. It's
Mhm.
more like we're being polite, like, oh, excuse me, oh, sorry. It's not really apologizing. However, it's not the same in the US or other Western culture in general. When you say I'm sorry, when you apologize, you are actually apologizing for something you do. You're actually
Mhm.
apologizing for something. And I think that sometimes immediately put yourselves down. You put yourself in a lower position because you're kind of admitting that you did something wrong when you probably didn't, and you don't need to apologize for that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We love to apologize as Asian,
Yeah.
because like I think it might be because just in case we're insulting someone, it's better for us to say sorry, even though that's
Yeah.
not true at all. That's not true. So what about,
Yeah, and we are
okay,
actually
yeah,
just being polite.
yeah, being polite.
Being too polite.
What about start owning the space?
How do you define that? How do you
I think,
interpret that?
yeah. I think it's kind of like being okay with you kind of like being in in the presence of other around you. For example, if you're giving a speech, for example, on that space, right? On that podium, right? It's yours to, you can bring your own stuff, I guess, or like you can talk loud, you can talk normal, you can talk small. It's your own space. So nobody is dictating you how to do your speech, right? So I think that's like one of the example that I can get from the top of my head. So what about you, Miranda? What do you think about it? Owning the space.
Yeah. Give yourself more credit. I was just
Okay,
thinking
yeah, that's true.
about when, yeah, I was just thinking about when we visited Google, and we were talking to, the Googlers, and they're like, this is your space. You came to the tour, and I'm here to answer your question, whatever you want to know, right? Um, I think like oftentimes we feel like, oh, they're the Googlers, they work at Google, they're very powerful, and we kind of get intimidated by that. But remember that um, you're still a student. They're a few years ahead of you, and maybe
Mhm.
you will be them someday. And right now you're learning from them. So yeah, claim it.
Absolutely, that's very, very important. So let's go to the next point. This is also a very, very controversial for us Asians, so break the rules. So, you know, um, what we mean by the rules here is not, it's not like the traffic laws or any legal system. What we mean by breaking the rules is that breaking the rules that are outdated or unwritten rule that society had never truly noticed to change, especially here in I guess in Asia. So, for example, what I want to so here's an interesting story. So I spoke with Jeffrey Pfeffer, right, Professor Pfeffer. So he has this kind of like exemplary student. Uh, his name is Marcelo. So back then he was struggling to achieve higher position in his company. So he's a Brazilian, I guess, but he's making his way through in United States. So what he did is that he take charge of the position that will speak to the journal, to the people who make article, people who make news. And one day, the journalist or the newspaper told him to make 10 lists or 100 lists. I can't remember. Make me a list, 10 future CEO of the United States of America. Okay. So they told him to make a list of top 10 person in US who's gonna be the future CEO. Do you know who the first name is? The first name is writing in the list himself, obviously, right? He's putting himself, his name there, Marcelo. So the chances are, if you are being put in the front cover of a magazine who says you're the first pick of the future CEO in the United States of America, your chance of getting the CEO position is 100%, right? So that's kind of like a
Wow.
hacking, some sort of like hacking, you know. It's breaking the rule technically, but anybody can make the list, right? Of course, you might not say so, but the list is according to me, and according to me, I'm on the top of the list, right? That's true for all, like in any cases. So who says that Stanford University, Harvard University is number one? It might be because of it might be number one in QS World Ranking, but for me personally, let's say maybe Taiwan National University is number one. Maybe universities in Indonesia is number one. So I guess you kind of like to break the rule in order to advance your career is actually very, very, it's a very unique and a very, I guess it's a very, very hacking thing to do. What do you think about that, Miranda?
Is that why you always say you're gonna work at the White House?
Yeah, yeah. I can hack myself into the White House.
That's funny. Yeah, I love that though. I love that story. A lot of times we're like trying to fit into the expectation coming from the society or just people around us. And we just confine ourselves in this little bubble. And we can say that it's a comfort zone. And then we start complaining about it, but we
Yeah.
are the one that actually holds the power to change our own life. So there are a lot of
That
possibilities.
is so true. That is so true.
Yeah, there are a lot of possibilities out there, and we just have to step out of our comfort zone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if we want to talk about like more in abstract way, let's say electricity. So in a way, Nikola Tesla, the one who invented the electric current, he broke the rule. So back then, nobody knows about electricity. We all know about the using of the candles and oil-based lighting inside of the room, right? But because he break the rule, we can have such an amazing society now, humanity. So let's say someone who invented cars, right? Or someone who invented the mass production of cars, which is obviously Henry Ford. He broke the rule. Nobody likes the fact that he made cars because people who are having a business in horses, they're gonna be out of business because they're gonna suddenly be replaced of this like car-based society. But again, those people who break the rules are the backbone of our society today. So again, break the rules, but we don't mean to break traffic laws or like legal or like the government laws, not such nothing like that. What we mean is that break the laws is that break the rules is that you kind of have to think differently and use your power to make something new. So
Totally agreed.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, would you say, because I'm sure like going to Stanford was, daunting. Would you say that's also something you do to step out of your comfort zone?
Oh yeah, I'm breaking the rule. Back then when I was internship in Stanford, my main priority should have been to study in UC Davis, right?
Yeah, right.
I break that rule, because like whatever, I want to go to Stanford. I want to do the internship. I don't care if my grade is a little bit low. That's okay. I'm breaking the rule myself.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, I love that. Like, I didn't get into Stanford to do my exchange year, then I'm gonna do an internship there.
Yeah, yeah. I have to do some hacking.
Yeah.
Okay. I also love the image here, the paper plane, the red one is just going to like that way instead of instead of going the other way. I love that. Okay, let's go to
Yeah,
the
that's really cool.
yeah, let's go to the rule number 3. So show up in a powerful way. Body language, voice, physical presence, digital presence. So wearing confidence across cultures, not only in Western but also in Asia, and also the cultural balance from the Eastern humility as well as the assertiveness of the Western quality. What do you think about this, Miranda?
First thing that came to my mind is, people say fake it till you make it. Um, Even if people around you look down on you, even if you don't believe that you can do it,
Mhm, mhm.
show up for yourself and trick yourself into believing it. When I was applying to masters, like I got rejected by other schools. I didn't think I could do it, but um keep doing it. And yeah, that's the only way you you can um like show up in a powerful way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And also the way I guess you should. I mean, we're talking maybe not from a psychological or mental perspective, maybe physical perspective. If we wear something that we think we are good at, right? You wear our favorite, you wear your favorite coat, you wear your favorite, watch, or you bring your laptop that you think is very, very, I guess it's very, very top notch in quality. It will bring your confidence up. Do you agree so, Miranda?
I do.
Yeah.
I think how you present yourself will have an impact on yourself too.
Yeah, so do you think that in Asian culture we are actually being kind of like being I guess recommended to not do that, right? Do not wear something that's too noticeable. Do not wear or use something that's too, I don't know, maybe that people might think it's too cool or too bragging. Do you think Asian value also recommend that, right?
Yeah, I think so. We are definitely more toned down, talking about, dressing and stuff. But I think it all depends on the situation, right?
Mhm.
If I'm going to a very important conference, say, a lot of influential people are gonna be there, you definitely want to dress a little bit nicer, even use some luxury brand or things like that. So I think it depends on the situation. Not saying that you should dress, like um always professionally or something like that, but when you should. Don't sorry, I was distracted by the message. But yeah, if you should dress professionally, then dress professionally, or if you should do something, do something. Don't tone down. when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And also, I want to talk about humility a bit more because we are so we are so in love with that concept, right? Being humble, being, let your kind of like your work define who you are. Let your work speak for itself and not actually you don't have to be assertive, you don't have to convince people, you don't have to introduce yourself to important people. And I guess that's very, very that's not beneficial in any way. I think in your professional career, you have to be able to connect to people and also to speak about yourself in a powerful way. Because let's say I'm the co-founder of Phoenix 7. Well, I have to speak myself in a high manner, not in a manner that which will diminish other people, but in a manner that will make people feel or people think that I am actually a capable person, right? A competent person. And in Asia, we are very rare in doing so. So, do you agree with that, Miranda?
I agree. I think since coming to the US, you see a lot of Americans and they are really comfortable sharing themselves. And I think that is what we lack. Like we lack the training of presenting ourselves, even like selling ourselves, talking about our accomplishments. But I think that is essential. When you start working, you have to let people know what you're capable of doing and what work do you do and how well you do it. Don't be shy to talk about those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super true. So, I guess we're speeding up a little bit because it's already like maybe I guess almost an hour.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
We've talked so much, which is good because we enjoy the time. That means. Okay, so
Yes.
number 4, create a powerful brand. So, people will believe the image you project. So, if you enter a room and you think that you're a loser, if you think that you're not gonna speak anything, that people will believe that image too. Okay, so people will also believe that image. So how we position ourselves as a speaker, as a leader, as a team member, as an international student, as almost anything, as a Phoenix 7 intern, I guess, it's very important to, create a brand that people will connect with. So, what do you think about this, Maria?
It's like managing your social media account, right? People see your post and have an idea of who you are. And it's same with like in-person interaction. So if you dress nicely, if you talk confidently, people are gonna think you are a confident person. They are going to admire you, believe in what you say. So yeah, it's all about how you present yourself. Go over the top a little bit. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, and also don't worry too much about like being like I guess we also worry too much about being I guess overconfident, right? I'm afraid that if I say, I'm great, or I'm the best at this, or my company is awesome, I'm afraid that it will translate as overconfident, which is actually not true. People actually love if you own yourself, if you actually can give yourself some respect, right? Because if you can't give yourself some respect, people can give you that also. And of course, if we are talking about talent, we have to be visible. So our talent will not speak to people. We are the ones who is going to talk them. If let's say, for example, I'm the best data analyst in the country, it means nothing if I don't know the right person to talk to, if the right connection to talk to. So it's very, very important. So what's your brand, Miranda? So I type here, it's like a data savvy global thinker. Is that who you are?
Yeah, when I was like reading this, I was like, wow, why did you say that?
Yeah, that's you.
Well, I am still on my way there, I guess. Right? Like, well, I'm still like I'm being humble now, but
Yeah, that's humble.
um
You should not do that, Miranda.
well, I am definitely better than some of the people in terms of, data analytics and
There you
stuff.
go.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable talking about that though. But still a long way to go. And I think that's a work in progress. I've been trying to improve in that area since coming to the US. Yeah.
That's true. Also, saying that you have a lot to learn and you are not perfect, it's actually a form of power, actually, because then you will say that you need help from people and you need guidance from people, which will kind of like make them flattered, right? Oh, I'm flattered that you need my help, you need my guidance, right?
Yeah, people want to be needed.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
It's simple fact, but sometimes we overlook that.
Yeah, we can what I learned, talking to Americans or just since coming to the US is that you can talk about your accomplishment, but you're not being overconfident. You're not saying I'm the best. I'm just saying I'm good at this. Um, but I still have more to learn. Like I'm probably not the best, but I think I am good at this. And that's okay. That is perfect. Like you're you're showing yourself.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to number 5. So network relentlessly. This is actually what we are doing right now, Miranda. We're networking. Right. We're not working. This is a social dynamics. Not, I guess, for example, if I invite other speaker, they might not necessarily agree because they have to speak in front of Indonesian audiences, which maybe they haven't, they have no experience in. Or maybe if you invited me to talk to your Taiwanese friends or your Taiwanese colleagues, I might not think it's a fun thing to do, but it's a
I'm sure you
powerful
say
tool.
yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You're right.
That's true.
All right, keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, my point is that it's absolutely necessary to do. So the fact that you say yes to this session is implying that you have used this rule number 5 to the very best network relentlessly. So I guess maybe from a personal story, what about like your professor or like um, connecting to the mentors or connect to the festival organizer maybe in a Cal Poly. Talk about more about California Polytechnic because I want to hear about them.
Okay, yeah. So just back to this like network thing. I heard the statistic. So like 85% or 80 something percent of the jobs in the US are gotten through referrals. So that just shows you how important it is to build your network. I'm not sure if that's also the case in Indonesia, but in the
Yes,
US,
it is.
okay, cool. Yeah, if some of you guys here wanted to study abroad in the future, or even if you wanted to stay in Indonesia, networking is a very important part of your career. Especially when, right now the economy is not great. In the US, having connection can really help you a lot when you're job searching and such. And it is, whenever I talk to like my career advisor at Cal Poly, we talk about, how many people we networked, or and they will give me advice to network with the alumni. Um, that's gonna help me find a job. Or whenever I talk to my friends, we talked about, who we connect with. So that is really a big part in the US job market. And it sounds like it's also really important in Indonesia as well. There is a book called 20-Minute Network Meeting. I don't know if you have read it, but have you?
No, no.
Yeah, but it's teaching you where to start, how to network. If anyone here is interested, I got recommended this book by a like connection on LinkedIn actually. And I think it is really helpful, especially for me and maybe a lot of you guys. Just like we said like earlier, we are not really good at talking about ourselves. But when you're making connection, you want to not just know what they're doing in their job, you also want to let them know what you're good at. So when they see a job opening in their company, or if they see something, some opportunities opening, that they will think about you. Oh, Miranda said she's really good in data. She's interested in data analyst, and I see a data analyst position open in my company. I want to let her know. I want to give her a referral, things like that. Yeah.
How many percent again? 75%?
No, 85%.
85. Okay, I wanna highlight it in Indonesian. So, jadi teman-teman itu berdasarkan data itu ya, itu orang-orang Amerika itu 85% mendapatkan pekerjaan itu dari rekomendasi ya. Rekomendasi itu hampir mirip orang dalam juga sih. Selain kamu punya koneksi, kamu pernah punya temen atau punya koneksi yang kamu pernah bersinggungan gitu ya. Terus kamu dikasih tawaran pekerjaannya dari sana, bukan dari apply kerja lewat postingan job gitu ya. Itu di Amerika pun seperti itu, 85%. Jadi nggak cuma di Indonesia aja yang orang dalam, sebenarnya bukan orang dalam kayak anaknya atau teman dekat gitu enggak ya. Tapi kalau kalian mungkin pernah ikut meeting, ikut conference gitu ya, kalian mendekati seseorang, Pak, saya boleh minta nomornya enggak? Saya anggap tadi presentasinya Bapak itu keren banget loh, Pak. Saya tuh juga berpikir kayak gini 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 gini. Nah, itu kan nanti kamu bakalan dikenal sama bapaknya itu kan. Siapa tahu bapaknya punya lowongan pekerjaan. Siapa tahu temannya bapaknya itu punya perusahaan gede gitu kan, yang dimana wah, oh iya nih ada lowongan kerja. Aku ingat kemarin pas aku presentasi ada satu anak nih yang antusias banget gitu kan. Terus habis itu aku kasih tawarnya ke dia aja gitu. Jadi yeah, what I was talking about to my friends is that you know, in Indonesia, there has been a backlash that using a recommendation or referrals is not a good thing to do, but that's the reality that we have to we have to tackle, right? That's the reality. We have to connect with people. We have to we have to be close with someone who have power, with someone who have position, and I think it's very very important to do.
Yeah, as much as we want to, prove our skills, prove our ability instead of getting a job from someone, it sounds like, but it's actually not that easy, even if you're trying to get a job from referral. You need to have the skill to connect with people, talk to them, and then a referral, at least in the US, a referral is just kind of help you, your referral will help you put your resume to the HR or the recruiter. It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to get a job. You still need to go through interviews or just the recruiting process. So if you can leverage networking, it's going to be really beneficial for your career.
Yeah, that's true. I'm writing in the chat that the students can ask us question in the chat. Maybe they want to ask something that we are we're talking about. So in case they want to ask that, they can write it in the chat. So, okay. So let's continue with the use your power, right? So yeah, many people have power but are afraid to use it. It's actually very um I don't know how to say it. It's very, I think it's excruciating if you see someone with have who has power but he's not using it. So if you have a team leader or your boss or whoever, right? Um, they if they don't use that power, what are you doing? You're the leader, right? You have to you have to make the decision. So many people sometimes are afraid to use it. So wait, so someone raised their hand. Maybe he's using his power. So ada yang mau tanya? So far, if you have any question.
Okay, thank you, Kak, for this attention. I want to asking about for Miss Miranda. What challenges do Asian students commonly face when looking for jobs in the Western world, and how can they overcome them? You understand my English, because my English is not good.
I can help. Are you done with the question? Udah selesai? Apa masih ada lagi pertanyaannya?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
That's the question.
Yeah, that's good. I like the fact that someone asked a question. You have used your power, I guess. So yeah, what he's asking is that for Asian student, how do you actually search for jobs or kind of like navigate yourself in the Western world? How to maybe I guess what he's asking is that there's a lot of competition, right, from the Western candidates. So for Asian student, for Asian fellows, what is your, I guess, what is your advice on this, Miranda?
Yeah, first of all, your English is fine. Your English is great. So what I would say, just start from connection. I would say there are a lot of international students in the US, a lot of Taiwanese, a lot of Indonesian, I'm sure. You can start from there. A lot of them are already in the workforce. Start from there, learn what they're doing in the company, and see what the recruiting process is like in that company, and that will help you kind of understand how it works. And then I would say it's definitely tough when you're competing with other native speakers. And I would say, oh, sorry, I thought someone was talking. But I would say make sure you know what your goal is. For example, target a certain industry, target the positions that you think you have the best advantage, and go from there. Do not just apply to, whatever jobs you see online, because you want to be able to show your strength. So really build your portfolio and really target the companies or industries or the positions that you are really interested in, and that can help a lot. I hope that answers your question.
One question about the recommendation. How if we not the recommendation, apa yang harus kita lakukan gitu?
Yeah. What he's
rekomendasi.
asking is that if we don't have any recommendation, what we should do. But I think thank you for the question. But I think we're going to continue with the content, and We're gonna answer your question in the last. Is that okay? In the last session ya. Kita jawab pertanyaannya di akhir ya. Tapi kita udah tulis kok. So yeah. So Miranda, I think we should continue to the content first. So we will answer his question in a minute, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So if you're confident, right? So if you're confident to lead, to influence, and to pitch ideas, and of course to challenge assumptions, or kind of like the bad assumptions that the company have, you're using your power. So if you have some large issue and a company, if you have I guess, some issue that you know how to fix, if you don't speak of it, then it would be a waste. You're wasting your power. If you have the ability to speak, if you have the ability to, kind of like influence your team leader or influence your coworker or your subordinates, you're using your power, and it's very important to do, important that you do so. Do you think that's correct, Miranda?
Yes. And it's going to be intimidating at first, but I think it takes practice, and along the way, you're gonna master it someday. But it is important to practice using your power.
Yes, that's correct. So I'm going to continue to the seventh rule. So this is also an extremely controversial for us Asians. So success excuses almost everything. So if you think you have hurt some people, if you have done some controversial things along the way, such as the Marcelo story, right? What he did was so controversial, right? He made his own list and he made his name on top of the list. But when he has when he has been successful, he has been appointed the CEO, everyone will forget or forgive what he's done. Because if he's an actually good CEO, if he's actually a competent CEO, not only will people forget or forgive, people will actually applaud him for doing so. So do you actually think this is applicable to the Asian world, Miranda?
I think so. However, I don't think I agree with it. I don't think
Okay.
people's fault should be forgiven just because they are successful, or just because they do really, they're being powerful. However,
That's
it is
Asian
how,
value.
yeah, this is how
Yeah.
society works.
Yeah.
People only see the outcome, and they don't value the process as much.
Yeah, I think so. For I guess if you go to the extreme, let's say in a political situation, let's say they hurt the other party, they hurt many people. As long as they have power, right? They have the position of power, and I guess yes, in a way, this should not be taken to the extreme. What it means is that you don't have to be super cautious or super careful. Sometimes people might think it's okay. Sometimes people might actually think it's beneficial. So I have an example for you in the end, Miranda, which I think you will agree to me. But yeah, if you bring a value, if you bring your accent, your age, background, it won't hold you back, as long as you know how to navigate power. And if your impact is huge, if your contribution is phenomenal, I think people will I guess be okay with what you're doing initially.
Yes.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Sorry?
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah. From my personal experience, I think we as like non-native speakers, we got caught up with our accent, with our English ability a lot. But Americans actually don't judge your English ability based on your accent. They judge your English ability based on how well you can communicate using English. And when you're in a work setting, how well are you able to convey or explain your work to your boss, to your coworkers? And same applies to different age, different backgrounds. So don't those things stop you. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So okay, so what from all of the things that we have discussed, so obviously having power is good, right? It's not a rocket science. It's not a, it's not a mathematical equation. It's pretty obvious if we have some form of power, it's good. So why people sometimes refuse, or, people sometimes, I don't really want to get into that position. I don't want to be like in a super high ranking job. I just want to be a, like, I guess a beginner job as long as it pays. And obviously the answer to that is that responsibility, right? If you have power, you have responsibility. I guess it's almost the same with that Spider-Man quote. What does he say?
But
If you have
is it
superpower, you have responsibility or something.
no? Oh, I think you're referring to with great power comes great responsibility. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's true. The
Yes.
Spider-Man quote.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, if you have power, like, I guess if you're a CEO of a company, I guess if you're a team leader, it gives you control to get you closer to your own goals, right? If you're, I guess, your own personal ambition, your own personal interest, but it also makes you to have a lot of responsibility. So Miranda, I have a story for you. So you asked me that, you pointed that I got accepted to the UN, right? As the finance officer.
Yes.
United Nations Association of Indonesia. So I actually applied for two roles. The first one is finance manager, and the second one is finance officer. So
Okay.
obviously I got the finance officer role. I was a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, I'm also relieved, right? Because if I were the finance manager, the responsibility would be huge. So I kind of relieved. Oh, thank God, I'm just the finance officer because, I'm just helping the manager, like kind of like, kind of like making the financial decisions. So yeah, if even though I know about, this kind of like power rules, I cannot escape this also. I don't really want that much responsibility. So how do we mitigate this, Miranda? Because it's so hard to do.
Well, first of all, like congrats to the finance officer role. That is
Yeah,
super
thank you.
exciting. I also feel like at this stage in your career, you probably can learn a lot from the manager or just people above you in this
Mhm, mhm.
position. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And I think everything has a trade-off. We just need to think if that's what we want. For me personally, I rather possess some power and deal with the responsibility than being controlled by others.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it's not easy, but eventually we would probably all want that. Yeah. And I also feel like when you said you don't want to take the responsibility, I feel like you are already taking a lot. You have your coffee company and you're now hosting this webinar. So
Yeah.
give yourself more credit. That's what we
Yeah,
said,
but
right?
yeah, but I agree with what you said. If you have to choose between not having power at all and having no responsibility, against having a lot of power and a lot of responsibility, you will choose you're having a lot of power and a lot of responsibility. And which I agree. That's why if there is an open position for the president of the UN Indonesia, I will apply. But there's not there's no such thing as a as that job opening. So I guess I have to work myself up.
Yeah. Well, eventually I'll probably see your name on there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so okay, this is kind of like how do you say, like an experiment. So I guess I'm inviting all of the students, the audience, to think about someone who has a high position, maybe your boss, your supervisor, or anybody who has a high position. And let's assume he or she made a mistake or doing something that's hurtful, maybe not to you, maybe to the company or to your coworker. And why is he or she keep doing it, right? Have you ever feel that kind of way, Miranda? Maybe someone has done something that's not actually good or beneficial, maybe to you or to the company or maybe to themselves, maybe.
I think that's one thing I like about study in the US and even working here is that people here are better at addressing those issues, even if that's my manager, even if that's my boss. But if they're asking me to do something like not reasonable, people here actually speak up and they know that it is their right to not do so, or if they're being unreasonable. But I can't believe that this is the case in Asia. Just from my educational experience in Asia, yeah, we just listen and we obey. We don't really speak up for
that's
ourselves.
true. I'm gonna switch to Indonesian a little bit here. Jadi kan kalau di Indonesia itu, kalau kalian ya sebagai anak-anak kuliah kan pasti dosen itu semacam dewa, katakan ya. Istilahnya mereka adalah yang benar terus itu kan. Mungkin kalau kalian udah capek-capek datang ke kelas gitu, tapi ternyata dosennya, wah oke, teman-teman hari ini kita nggak ada kelas ya, gitu kan. Ya itu adalah hal yang salah kan. Harusnya kalau nggak ada kelas ya harusnya dinotify dulu. Seenggaknya sehari sebelum lah, atau enggak mungkin beberapa jam sebelum. Tapi kenapa dia melakukan hal itu terus? Karena ya nggak ada yang ingetan kan, nggak ada yang bilang, "Bo, jangan kayak gini ya, Pak, Bo." Ya dalam kata-kata yang bagus ya, tapi ya harusnya ada yang stand up gitu ya. Biar apa? Biar dia nggak ngelakuin itu lagi ya. Biar nanti bilang aja dengan baik ya, "Bu, maaf Bu, jangan maaf deng, jangan bilang maaf ya." "Bu, saya harus bilang gitu ya. Kemarin itu banyak sekali anak-anak yang sebenarnya punya agenda sendiri-sendiri, mungkin punya praktikum, punya kelas yang lain. Nah, kalau ibu itu mungkin kemarin udah bilangnya itu sehari sebelum atau beberapa jam sebelum, itu kita bisa sama-sama beneficial juga, kita senang, ibu juga senang juga kan, kita nggak harus kenapa-kenapa. Kita nggak apa-apa Bu, kalau ibu itu nggak di kelas, tapi yang penting kita di notify ya, kita dibilangin gitu. I was talking about like maybe in class, let's say a professor is suddenly absent, but he didn't notify or she didn't notify the class. So that's not the right thing to do, right? And maybe the reason why he or she is keep doing it because nobody is standing up to her or him. So nobody is oh sir, you have to notify us first, okay? You have to stand up for it.
Yeah, no, like they're not being corrected. And I guess what I wanted to add in here is that being powerful doesn't mean you cannot make mistakes. We still make mistakes, and we still want to accept other people's suggestion or opinion. But we can be powerful at the same time. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So what can you do next? So for the students here is that, first of all, build your personal brand. That's very, very important. So again, Miranda, maybe remember me as the coffee guy, because back then in the US, that's pretty much my brand. And also Stanford.
Yes.
I guess that was my brand. Some Indonesian guy who likes coffee and likes Star Wars, and also went to Stanford for a small internship. Maybe that was my brand. Yeah. So, but it's very
I, s-
important
I
because
still,
yeah.
sorry, I still remember your Halloween costumes.
Yeah. I still have my lightsaber, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
That's so
still.
cool.
That was still expensive, actually.
It
It
is.
cost like $220.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
Don't judge me,
expensive.
please. Please do not judge me.
No, I won't. That's your personal brand.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. So yeah,
Yeah.
start sharing your idea, right? If you have any cool idea, unique things you want to share it. You know, whatever your peers or your friends might think, just share them. And also seek visibility, not perfection. So I guess the example is that one guy earlier asked a question. That's pretty good, even though we might not actually we kind of like have to shift ourselves from presenting the presentation, but he's visible now. We know his name. Not perfection, so that's pretty good. Practice using your voice every day, right? So you talk, you submit your ideas, you share what kind of work that you have done. I think it's very, very important. Do you think you have done these things, Miranda, yourself?
Yeah. Especially when we're like looking for jobs, interviewing and stuff. Our advisor taught us, talk to yourself in the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Not
that's
just
good.
practice, right? Not just practice the questions, but also be comfortable just talking about yourself. And I think that helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super, super important thing to do. And I hope well, we cannot track you guys, the students. We cannot track you guys, obviously, if you've done this in the next month, in the next year, but I hope you guys are implementing this, okay? So next, yeah, this is super, super important too. You can be powerful and still be kind, soft-spoken, and grounded. People think that if we're powerful, we have to be you have to be like harsh, right? We have to be angry all the time, being judgmental. Not at all. You can redefine power on your own terms.
Yes. I really, really like this slide because over the past years exposing to American cultures, a lot of times I don't feel authentic. I feel confused doing things that I'm not used to, or things that I'm not taught to be doing. And it's sometimes hard to find a balance, even just in those transformation. It's hard to define who you are. But I like that you say you can be powerful but still be kind. This is so true. You just need to practice. You don't need to give up on your identity to become powerful. You can incorporate the power into your identity. Yeah.
Yeah, you can be like uh you can be as cute as a doll and still be the most powerful member of the couple company. That's true. You don't have to be like a rip. You don't have to have a ripped physique. You don't have to like shout whenever you say something. No, absolutely not. You can be powerful and be again, be just who you are. So yeah, I guess you really like this slide, Miranda.
I do. Yeah, I love it. I love the analogy too.
Again, so I guess this is the last slide. Yeah, we can bring power across cultures. So I guess the misconception here is that if you go to the West or the Western world, you have to adopt different persona because of the different culture, the different viewpoint of power, the different viewpoint of how to advance your career. But truly, if you can blend them, that is actually your superpower. And the last one actually resonate with me the most is that power is togetherness, not solitude. So back then in UC Davis, I thought that I guess I don't really need to get to know my Indonesian friends for me to like being heard or make a name for myself, which is I think it's also kind of true. But also if I actually make some connection, some meaningful friendship with them, instead of like being just by myself in every time I go here or go there or go networking, I think it might also make me more influential, make me more powerful as in career wise. And I think that's I think this sentence is what resonates to me the most. So what do you think, Miranda?
You already have the United Nations mindset, like power is togetherness.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll
Because,
do great at United Nations now.
yeah, I mean it's a volunteering work, Miranda. But I guess if I have to adopt that the rules of power, yes, it's a very important position. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but that's what do you think about blending this stuff? Do you have actually have you been struggling and kind of like blending all of this together, being humble, being reserved, but also you have to seek visibility and being bold to present your ideas.
Yes, all the time.
Mm.
Just like I said, I'm still like trying to find a balance and trying to know like when I should be humble, but when I should show myself more. I think that is a constant lesson we're learning, at least for me. Yeah, but I do like talk to other like professors or just Americans,
Mhm.
and they're saying the same thing. Like you are exposed to two cultures, and that is just very powerful. You kind of bring this, you think in a unique way because of your culture, and they all see it as a advantage of mine. So it's gonna be an advantage of yours too.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Miranda. This is it has been a very, very fun session, I think you're the best
Thank you.
you're our best speaker so far, It has been so fun.
I don't want to claim that though. But I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's good. So
Thanks for
yeah,
having me. Like really happy to be here.
of course, because I want to help you to gain power.
Yes, you're helping me for sure.
Okay, so this time for a Q&A session. So I guess the former answer the former question. So if while we wait for others to ask the question, you can ask through the chat or to open your mic. I think we will prioritize people who are opening their mic before we are entering the chat. But yeah, Miranda, you can answer the former question. I guess he asked about if you don't have any recommendation letter or referrals, what you should do. And I think I have to do something for like 2 minutes. It'll be very quick. I'll be stopping my camera for a bit, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay, yeah. You can talk to the audience.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you're talking about like applying to schools in the US, or are you talking more specifically about like job hunting in the US? For job hunting though in the US, not many of the companies ask for recommendations or referrals. They more likely they look at your resume and your experience. However, for like applying to schools, you will most definitely need recommendations letter either from from your professor in Indonesia, or if you have any work experience from your previous manager or boss. Yeah. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions. If anyone wants to speak up, feel free to.
Okay, I'm back. So is there anyone who has asked another question? No?
No one speaked up, so.
Well, we have to wait. They have to learn to use their power.
Wow, how mean of you.
That's not mean. This is applying what we have been learning from the beginning. But that's okay. We
Well,
can.
no, you just said in the chat that they can write their questions in the chat, and now you want them
that's
to
true.
speak up.
Okay. Right. Right. I'm not gonna apologize though.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Let's read the chat. Do you want to read it or me?
Sure. Do you want to answer some of them too?
I think
I feel like you're capable. I feel like you're capable of answering some of them too. You're
Yeah, I
probably
think-
more capable than I am.
Yeah. I think we
Okay,
should
first
answer
question.
them.
Okay, first question. I often feel insecure about my abilities because other people seem to have more power than me. Have you ever felt the same, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
You
Do you
wanna
want to
start?
answer it or I'm going first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going first. Okay. Seem to have more power. Yes, absolutely. If because I think they're projecting their own. Sometimes they are projecting their own insecurity. People can do that, and they are projecting it. Let's say they're being mean to you, or they're asking you to do something that you don't want, or forcing you to do things. So how do I deal with it? So well, I stand up for myself, but you have to use a good social engineering. So make them think that they're doing what you want to do, but you can make them think that it's what they want. So I know this is it kind of sounds like a riddle, but for example, okay, for my personal experience. So I did a project with a PhD student in one of the campus in Indonesia, one of the main campus in Indonesia. I'm not gonna say what it is, but all of them are PhD and obviously are super smart. They have more power. They have the complete authority of the lab, because what I'm doing the project was in a lab, right? But I am close to the dean. I am close to the dean of the Faculty of Mathematics and Faculty of Physics of that university. So I'm using that as my leverage so that these other people who are having PhD will answer to me. So, because the way I do this project is that basically I just tell them what to do and they're doing the work for me. I know it sounds bad. It sounds bad. It's like I'm using them, but no, not at all, because they're using the data from themselves, for themselves, and also they're using it to better their equipment and to better their machineries. But again, if you think about it, I have no power. I have no position. I'm not an actual student of the Faculty of Mathematics. I have no PhD. I have no master degree. Back then, I haven't even complete my bachelor degree. One thing though, I am close to the dean, and I can use that as my leverage. Like, oh, I speak my idea in a powerful way with the dean, right? And he agrees. Oh, I can connect you with this. I can connect you with this person. I can connect you with this PhD. You can just tell him what to do. And of course, the way these PhD students view me is in a very powerful and high manner, because the way the dean speak about me is that I'm a very, very skilled person. I'm a very I'm a person with a very, very unique and strong idea. And they don't, they also think it that way. So it's not that I'm telling them to do it, but they're telling themselves to do it. So they're offering me, oh, just use our services for free. We can do it for you and we'll get it done in 6 months. So basically, you can just use a lot of leverage. Basically, if you notice, if you sit back for like 15 minutes and kind of like write or navigate everything that you actually have a lot of power. What about you, Miranda? How do you answer that?
Wow. I have a completely different take than
Okay,
yours.
okay. What about you?
Yeah, so yeah, this is interesting. So, I think what I would do is, so I guess first of all, identify if your insecurity is valid or not. So, are you actually lacking those abilities, or do you actually have those abilities, but you just don't feel confident enough? And then identify that. If I actually don't have those abilities that other people seem to have, then I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna prepare myself with those abilities. I'm gonna make myself stronger. And in the meantime, again, fake it till you make it. You can actively work on having those abilities, and at the same time learn from those people, see what they're doing, and talk about it with them, right? Like, oh, I'm working on it. Like, I say they're doing data science. I also want to do data science, and I am doing school, or I am taking classes in those areas. And I just recently learned this subject. What do you think about it? Or things like that. Don't feel incompetent, even if other people seem to be better. There are always people better than you, but you can also make yourself to become those people. Yeah, that's what I think about it.
Wow, comparing your answer to mine, you sound like an angel, because I sounded like a villain back then.
No, it's just like different perspective, but I like yours. Like, I respect that.
Yeah, we're like a good cop, bad cop situation.
Probably.
Okay, so maybe one more because of I guess the time limit. So I read some of the questions. These are very, very technical though. To survive in another country apart from a visa, language, documents, and other things. And a reflection of brain drain. I read a lot about a hack that before going to do some kind of speech in front of an institute. Okay, so maybe we just answer the Muhammad Fajar question, maybe just maybe pretty briefly. So this is a question for you, so maybe you should answer it, Miranda. To
Which
prepare
one?
to survive in another country apart from a visa, language, documents, and other things.
I'm reading it, sorry. If I want to work abroad in Australia, for example, what should I prepare? Wow, this is a very broad question, and I don't know if I have a correct answer for you, because I've never lived in Australia. I only traveled there, so I'm not sure what their what the requirement is to work in Australia. But aside from like those visa or like legal document stuff, I would say start immersing yourself in Australian culture by, say, watching Australian YouTubers on YouTube, or watching Australian movies if there are, that if you're interested in it, or things like that. Just get to know the culture, the country, so when you actually get there, when you actually work there, you can talk about those things with your coworkers or with your friends. That will definitely help you blend into the culture more and help you make like local friends. I hope that answers the question, because yeah. For other questions, feel free to email me also, if you
Yeah,
want to.
I also
Yeah.
presented the link. Oh, you can also copy and paste your LinkedIn link maybe in the chat.
Oh, like my email?
LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I can't remember if I
Not sure.
already shared to the students or not. Maybe I haven't. So I'll also be. I think I have
Yeah, of
actually.
course.
I have actually shared the link, but I think I'll share it again later on after this webinar. So I think that
Yeah,
the
I
other
just
question. But you
yeah, I
want to
just put
continue?
my contact in the chat.
Okay.
Feel free to shoot me a message or email.
Okay, so maybe two more questions. Yeah. So I think the question from Sulfa Ilala, I think it's more appropriate to be answered by me because it's Indonesia. Is the ease of finding employment abroad a reflection of brain drain that ultimately harms the development of human resource in Indonesia? Well, the way I see it is that it expands our connection to the world. Jadi kalau misalnya I'm switching to Indonesia a little bit, so jadi kalau misalnya sekarang itu kan kalau kita lihat di UK, di US itu kan sekarang udah nggak jadi, sekarang udah bukan jadi Perdana Menterinya UK ya, tapi dulu tuh Perdana Menterinya UK itu orang India, teman-teman, keturunan India. Jadi kalau misalnya kita jarang sekali mikir kayak gitu ya, kalau kita misalnya pindah ke US, pindah kemana gitu, terus kita punya keluarga, terus nanti mungkin anaknya kita bisa jadi presiden Amerika, bisa jadi presiden Italia, jadi presiden Jerman. Kita nggak pernah mikir kayak gitu kan. Nanti anaknya kita bisa jadi CEO-nya Google, CEO-nya Netflix. Kita harus sebenarnya berkoneksi dengan negara-negara luar, karena emang kalau kita lihat ya, orang-orang Cina itu emang udah banyak sekali yang sukses di luar negeri. Kita sendiri terlalu apa ya, terlalu sayang sama Indonesia sih. Dan agak paradoks, tapi malah kalau kita justru keluar negeri untuk membesarkan nama kita, Indonesia akan jadi benefit. Karena apa? Nanti kalau kita punya power di sana, kita bisa reach out ke Indonesia kan. Nah, kalau aku jadi CEO-nya Netflix, aku bisa dong naruh, katakan investasi di Indonesia. Itu kan. So, yeah, what I'm talking about is that we have to pursue our dreams to go to other country, paradoxically, to make our country better, to make Indonesia better. Brain drain, I think it's inevitable, but I think, let's say if I go to US and I became the CEO of Netflix, I can make a large investment in Indonesia. And if I work here, maybe if there's a Netflix office here, I cannot do that, obviously. And a lot of power is in the other country. So maybe the last question, I read about a hack that before going to do some kind of speech in front of a bunch of audience, they just had to condition themselves that they hate everyone in the room, so that they wouldn't really care about their attention, to not get nervous. Do you ever had some kind of situation like this? Yes, right now actually. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, but it's also very, very useful. That's true, because the audience will translate that into confidence. your hate or your lack of care because you are so confident that you are so powerful, that you are so high esteem, that you don't really care what people are saying. So yes, that's important. What I'm suggesting to you is that you just experiment to yourself. Maybe you have a couple of presentation, maybe in your university, maybe in one presentation you use this kind of perspective. Maybe in the next presentation you use other form of perspective. Maybe you feel like, oh, the audience is your family, and you decide which one is best for you. What about you, Miranda? What is your suggestion?
Um, this is a good question. It makes me think. But I feel like back to when we were talking about how you influence people. So, I feel like if you're confident with what you're talking about for the presentation or the speech, if you know what you're doing, you're gonna influence the audience. You're gonna influence those that are listening to your speech. So I don't think I really have the experience of having to do those things, but if I were to be in this kind of situation, I don't think I would like convince myself that everyone in the room like do not like me, do not care about me. Yeah.
But I think because of the time, I think maybe we should close it. But before we close, do you notice that I have applied, I think the second rule, the breaking the rule in this entire webinar, Miranda? Do you know what rule that I break?
Wait, say that again? What did you do?
Yeah. Do you notice that I have break a rule in the entirety of this whole webinar? Do you notice that?
Oh wow, now you're questioning me. Um, you're testing me. What, the time or what?
No, no, no. It's actually the fact that I'm here. Because the poster and the overall webinar is that you're gonna be the speaker, right? So technically, the fact that I'm here is also actually also kind of like breaking the rule. But you might actually be thankful that I've broken the rule, because maybe if you have done the webinar maybe all by yourself, you'd be very stiff. Just like maybe if I was invited to speak to a Taiwanese audience, I'll be very stiff. And if you break the rule, if accompanying me, I would be super thankful to you. You would say that, right?
What a unique perspective, and that is true. However, no, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
defend myself though.
oh, okay. Okay, all right.
Because I talked to you beforehand. I asked,
Oh, yeah.
what the format is gonna be like, and
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
said it's more just like
Yeah.
conversational. It's not gonna be only me talking. So
Yes, that's true.
yeah.
It's actually not breaking the rule for you, but it's breaking the rule to the audience. They didn't know
I
I would be
appreciate
coming in.
that.
But probably I will say this, they love me for it because I'm here, because I think without me here, they wouldn't be understand it as well as I'm here. So again, guys, break some rules, but break the rules that will make people glad that you break them, not break the rules that make people hate you. If that makes sense. Of course it makes sense, right?
Yes,
Of course
it makes
does.
sense.
Okay, Miranda, so thank you so much for being here. It's been really, really fun. I hope we can do something like this again, and let's meet in Washington, D.C. in my background here.
Yes, please let me know whenever you get to the White House.
Amen.
Yeah.
I hope so. Let's go.
Thanks for putting this together and having me. Thanks everyone for showing up on a Sunday morning. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you
and
guys.
Yeah. We'll catch up later.
Yeah. we'll catch up later. Jadi makasih ya teman-teman ya udah datang. Thank you so much. I hope the speaker is, has some interesting insights for you guys, and I hope you use your power to connect with Miranda through network. Honestly, you just can ask whatever question that you want to Miranda, and we'll see you in the next webinar session. So thank you. Wassalamualaikum
care.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye. Thank you
Take
so
care.
much, Miranda.
Bye-bye. No
See you in Washington,
problem.
D.C.
All right. I'll see you
Let's
there.
go. Right.
Bye-bye.